Hi, everybody. We're here today with another episode of Howie's Hometown Heroes, where we feature business owners, entrepreneurs, and community members who are doing extraordinary things in their community. Today, we're in Philadelphia, a great place. I went to college there, by the way, just so you know. And we're here with Dr. Laura Sicola. Now, she's just not any old doctor. So let me describe a little bit of her stuff. She was a founder of Vocal Impact Productions, a coaching program that helps entrepreneurs and business leaders in better communication and leadership skills. She has a podcast called Speaking to Influence. Leaders have to influence or they wouldn't be leaders in the first place. And she's spoken to thousands of people around the world at conferences and online about leadership and communication. It's a great thing that a lot of people, I think, need to hear, especially entrepreneurs growing their business. A little kind of a fun thing I thought of, though. Laura's got a PhD from University of Pennsylvania. Lots of people graduate from University of Pennsylvania with PhD. No, but her, not to diminish her clearly, but one thing that spoke to me is with no debts. Oh my God. People don't get out of undergraduate school with no debt, let alone PhDs after years and years of doing that kind of stuff. So thanks for being here, Laura. It's great to see you again.
It's great to be here, Howard. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah. So tell us a little, like a little fun fact we wouldn't really think of for you.
A little fun fact is I've always been fascinated with foreign languages, and my mother will tell you that I was the only kindergartner she knew who got fluent in Pig Latin.
Ooh,
so it was a very early start.
There you go. There's a language that doesn't come up very often, I guess, right?
Not on Duolingo last time I checked.
Duolingo, no. That would be an interesting add-on, right? Wouldn't it?
A little bonus.
Yeah. So thanks for being here today. Tell us how you got started with Vocal Impact Productions and all of the leadership and communication stuff you're doing.
I mentioned that I've always had a fascination with languages, and it started out from the time I was a kid. But I was a lifelong teacher in my adult world. I started out pretty soon right out of college teaching public schools and those kinds of things. So that was always in there. And teaching, training, coaching, it has a lot of related elements to it. But the shift from teaching more formally, I like to refer to myself as an accidental entrepreneur / recovering academic.
Ooh, interesting way to put it. Oh,
yeah. So I had no expectations for being a business owner, being a coach, trainer, consultant. I kind of fell into that. And it was after I was wrapping up my PhD, which was in education and linguistics and things, with the intention of going the tenure track, when I had a relative epiphany, and that epiphany was clearly a memo that I had missed many years earlier, which said that people in social sciences with PhDs basically make minimum wage. And, at about the same time when here's a great coincidence for you, Howard. I was at my cousin's wedding, had just defended my dissertation, was looking for these tenure track opportunities and being rather demoralized by the salaries that were being posted along with them. And I sat at the reception next to somebody a guy, we're just chatting, and he starts asking me about the research because I'd mentioned I had just defended my dissertation. And he says, I've always had an instinct and an interest about what you studied, but I never had the data to back it up. He said, you have the data, and I think it's relevant. Would you be interested in coming to my company and doing a training for my people? Because I think it would help them. Turns out he was the vice president of government programs at IBM.
Whoa,
And
there you
that
go.
was, bam, my first consulting job fell right into my lap. And I stayed teaching, part-time as an adjunct at the university for a while, but that got the bug.
Yeah.
And there was something similar about 3 months later where literally somebody dialed the wrong extension at the university, got me, and one thing led to another. This conversation led to a series of conversations, and I ended up getting a contract with Chase.
Wow.
And it was, needless to say, Fortune 50 companies did not continue to just fall out of the sky into my lap. So I had to learn something about marketing after a while. But at that point, it was too late. I was already hooked on entrepreneurship, on teaching and training and coaching and all that kind of stuff. And here's the thing, while a little part of my heart asked, am I selling out? I went from trying to be a teacher and all this very philanthropic stuff to now I'm coaching and I'm helping business leaders get better? Is that okay? And you know what my mantra became? I was never motivated by money until you told me I couldn't
Couldn't
have any.
have any. Oh, interesting, interesting.
So, it's been great. And now, of course, the beauty is that I can do both. I can train and coach and build my business. And, as my father used to say when I first asked him about this, he said, Laura, you paid your dues. Now it's time to get paid what you're due.
Do yeah. Oh, that's another great quote. You
Yeah.
got all kinds of stuff there.
I
We
got
can
him. I got him for you. So,
very good.
it's nice to be able to do that work, get paid as a consultant and whatnot, and then also be able to do all sorts of philanthropic work
Yeah,
on the side and help
yeah.
the others
So
at the same
that's
time.
right. The more money you can make, the more you can give away,
More people you can
and
help.
help
Yep.
more people you can help. Oh, that's really awesome. One of the things we talk about too when I do some seminars is uh, that money is like air. Like air. If you have a lot of it, you don't even think about it. If you don't have any, that's
Yeah, you're
all you think
suddenly
about. That's
painfully
all you think.
aware.
That's all you
Yes.
think about. Yeah. So anyway, so that's great. So you've been moving along. What kind of conferences have you spoken to around the world? What kind of stuff have you done?
Oh, all different conferences. There are programs I've done. I've done some trainings in the Middle East and in China and whatnot about intercultural communications and business on international and diverse teams. I've done a couple of talks at organizations like the Professional Businesswomen of California. I am, to the best of my knowledge, in the 30 something years that conference has gone on, there's 60 something thousand members of it, the
Oh,
organization that I'm the only person ever to have been invited back
oh,
to speak.
really?
They have a
Wow.
policy against having anyone speak more than once, and I was invited to come back
Not
the following year because my ratings were so off the charts.
wow.
They said, "We don't normally do this, but do you wanna come back?" And I thought, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do." I had a lot of
What's
fun.
that?
That was a great
Not that
event.
not that I'm surprised they would offer that, but I mean, what a limiting thing for them for organization. Like if somebody's doing a good job, like why would you not want them to come back? I don't
I
know.
think it's that they're trying to always have somebody
To have
new
some
because they want
variety.
people
Yeah.
to come
Yeah.
back. They want the
Yeah.
audience to come back always for new information.
Yeah.
But they look at the scale of 1 to 5 ratings. Who did how well on which breakout sessions or
Yeah.
conference stages, and they said so. Here were the average numbers, and then here was the keynote speaker, and then there was this one other line that went all the way over, and they said, "Who is that? Laura Sicola. Who's Laura Sicola? Get Laura Sicola back here." Get
Very, very good. So what was it? I do some public speaking and training and stuff like that. I know lots of people who do that kind of stuff. What was it like to be on a TED stage or speaking in front of thousands of people? How did that feel?
So it's interesting because TED and speaking in front of thousands are two very different worlds. The TED Talks, especially TEDx programs, are usually very small audiences, just maybe a couple hundred in the room, or even smaller, depending on
Yeah.
where they're hosted. But then it's the range is about how well the video catches fire after it's
Ah,
posted online after the fact. But prepping for a TED Talk is very different from prepping for any other conference presentation because it's supposed to be on average, 10 to 20 minute
yeah.
monologue, and you have to memorize it. You're
Yeah.
not using slides, or minimal, if anything. You're not using bullet points. You're not using talking points. You don't have notes. There's no podium. You have to memorize. And memorizing a 15-minute monologue is a Herculean effort. It takes months. At least it did for me because I'm not an actor. That's not my space. I'm a speaker. I'm an educator. I'm a linguist, but I'm not an actor. So memorizing that kind of script was a painstaking task for me. But being on stage in front of thousands, I mentioned the Professional Businesswomen of California. There's nothing better than have for me to do my quick teaching points in the beginning here, the main principles, and then pluck a volunteer from the audience who wants to get coached right now, who's got a
Ah,
problem, who wants help, who wants to get solutions, resolution, and let them volunteer, come up and put them right there on the stage. And then I have 10 minutes to get some result. And you can feel it. You're tweaking, they're trying, and suddenly it clicks. And thousands of people in the audience all
cheer.
explode at the
Yeah.
same time. And you just look at them and go, that was you.
There you
Wasn't
go.
me. But you can see the difference. These are simple principles, small differences, but it's like the combination to a safe, almost there, almost there,
Almost there.
almost there.
Almost there.
But when it clicks, that's when everything opens up. And
Wow.
so to be able to demonstrate and have someone else who's not a plant, who's not trained, who's not whatever, just demonstrate a few of those things and have it click, that's
That's
magic.
that's for
Absolute magic.
sure. That's for
Love it.
sure. That's for sure. So, so if you had somebody like that, what did they do moving forward? Was there a good success story comes out of that? Besides that moment, something that changed somebody's life or changed somebody's career? Yeah.
Oh, changed lots of them, sure, because most people don't realize where they're getting in their own way. And
Mm,
that's that's kind of the first step that I take as a coach or as a trainer is to help you figure out, where are you your own worst enemy? Where
Mm.
is there something about the way that you are trying to communicate with that individual, that audience, that group, virtually, in person, or otherwise, that's just not clicking? Did you ever have those moments, for example, Howard, where you hear yourself talk and then immediately think, that sounded better in my head?
Oh yeah, all the time,
Had
all the
those,
time.
sure, or some other conversation with somebody and you're going, how did you get that from what I said?
Yeah.
You'll have those moments. Or maybe, you know your stuff, you're an expert, and you're passionate about your content, but somehow you're just not able to convey it in a way that makes whoever that other person is recognize the expertise and get the passion in a way that makes them buy into it. Like,
Mm.
you're so close, but you just can't make them get it. I help you reverse engineer what's happening and figure out why. So, for example, one area that I do a lot of work is succession planning. So you've got your
Ah.
SVP of finance, or your, VP of whatever it happens to be,
Mhm.
and they want to be the CFO, or
The
they want
next
to
move, they
be
want to move
the
up the
next,
line.
right, the
Yep.
next senior level. And they're technically qualified, but something's missing. So I worked with somebody who was the SVP at a chemical company, um, and he wanted to be the CFO, and the board, knowing that the spot would open up, we'll say in 2 years, eventually,
Somebody
when
over.
the CFO would retire. And they came out and in no uncertain terms said to him, we would like you to be the CFO when the time comes. But the fact is, when you talk, we don't understand you. So fix it. Or when the spot opens up, we're going to find somebody else.
Wow, that's like a threat almost before
It's a threat, but it's a gift,
gift. Yeah, I knew you were gonna say, yeah.
because they told you
Told you what to
flat
do.
out, and they told you what the problem was, and it's
Yep.
your job to just figure out how to fix it. So they
Yeah.
called me, and we realized that there were a number of things that he was doing that was making it hard for a relatively educated and knowledgeable audience,
Sure.
but still very varied in their areas of expertise and
Mhm.
whatnot. And so for him, it was things like ranging from, don't just run through the numbers at a mile a minute. Tell the story of the data. What
Yeah.
don't the data show? What don't you know about how those data manifested?
Yeah.
Or slow down.
Oh,
Here's a thought. Don't have a 10-minute singular run on sentence. Make three discernible points. And here's a thought, breathe once in a while
what a
so that their
concept. What a concept.
brains can catch up with their ears.
Yeah, yeah.
And, it's all these little things. Some of them are much more intuitive than others, but the most intuitive ones are the ones that make you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah,
Nobody ever pointed that out, or I never realized what a
yeah,
giant problem that was creating,
yeah.
or that it mattered as much as it does. So, helping people realize where they're getting in their own way and learn how to translate the expertise, make the information relatable, make yourself approachable, authoritative, friendly, trustworthy, confidence inspiring, all those kinds of things. How do you get your audience to make those decisions, to come to those resolutions about you? Because you can't tell somebody, hey, I just want you to know I'm confident, I'm inspiring, I'm knowledgeable, I'm trustworthy,
Yeah,
I'm
I say that all the
relatable, I'm
time.
approachable. They're going to go, yeah, sure you are, I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So how do you help them be the judge of that and come to that conclusion on their own through the way that you convey that expertise and passion? That's where I help people to connect the
There you
dots. And
go.
when that
When that
clicks, they
clicks.
go, oh, that's it.
And it's not about the words, right?
In
Yeah.
part, it absolutely is,
Oh, it
because, you,
is.
you use, well, so here, can we do some myth busting? Oh, please, let's do some myth
Yeah,
busting.
yeah, yeah. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm not going anywhere, so I'm good.
Good. Okay. So, real quick, one of the biggest myths perpetuated in all over the internet about communication is the myth that words are only 7%
Yeah,
of
something like right. I've heard that
communication,
before. Sure.
right? Or that nonverbal communication is 55%. 55,
Whatever the
38,
numbers are.
7 are
Yep.
the numbers that people like to levy about.
Uh-huh.
And those are completely mythologized numbers derived from a very important seminal study from the 1960s. And here's what this study actually references. This is Albert Mehrabian, blah, blah, blah. I'll give you the reference later if anybody cares. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. But the point is that when they were looking, and this is a very narrow study that people have expanded to assume is relevant to everything on the planet. But when you're trying to make a point, if what you say, your words, and how you say it,
Yeah.
your voice and your body language,
Yeah.
aren't congruent or aren't in alignment, it sends mixed signals to the audience. And then they go, well, I don't know what to believe. So the gut starts by, that whole concept of seeing is believing.
Yeah.
Right? What they're going to go with, like, how you look when you're saying it. What facial expressions are you making? What body
Oh,
language, what gestures? Because that's solid, that's tangible in front of them. And the second most compelling piece is your voice. They're going to go by how you sound, by
sound.
what you say. And then they'll decide based on that whether or not it sounds like you believe what you said, assuming it makes sense in the first place. But I mean, look, you use tons of jargon. It may be accurate, but if nobody knows what those words mean, then
Doesn't
the
matter.
rest of it is irrelevant. Because put it this way, if you have great content, but lousy delivery, it's like taking a pearl and dipping it in mud. There's
Right,
good content in there, but you can't find
nobody
it.
can see it.
Right. Flip side, really interesting delivery, but with useless content is like putting lipstick on a pig. Somebody might find it entertaining, but ultimately it's
Yeah,
probably
probably not gonna
cruel and it doesn't serve any
be.
purpose.
Yeah,
So you need to have both. But the point is, so if I just by way of example said
I
to,
was just
let's say
gonna
I'm
ask
doing
that.
it,
Yeah,
yeah, let's
understand.
say I'm doing my own introduction and I'll say, yeah, hey Howard, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm Dr. Laura Sicola. I have a
Yeah.
PhD from Penn. My company is Vocal Impact Reduction, and I'm a leadership communications
Mhm.
and influence coach. Okay, so everything I said is true.
Absolutely.
So the content was valid, but do you care?
Care
Do you
yeah.
believe me? Are you curious to hear what I have to say? Does it seem like I could really give you some
Mhm.
insight that's useful for you about leadership influence? Your gut's going to go,
Eh,
"Oh, I'm not really buying it."
yeah,
Why? Because I didn't look like I cared. I wasn't making eye contact. I'm playing with my hair. I'm kind of slouched over.
yeah.
My voice is kind of frying out and flat, and I'm not really making it sound like I even care. It probably sounds like I've been smoking 2 packs a day since I was 8. So all, all that's making me go, I'm not buying it.
Yeah,
I don't know why you'd lie. I have no reason to believe
yeah.
that what you're saying isn't true, but nah, pass. So that's where delivery and content, words versus body language
And
and
stuff.
voice can create that discrepancy and where words lose their meaning if they're undermined by the rest of it. But they still have to be accurate.
It's not very cool. That's very good. Oh, that was a great example. Great
So
lesson
there
for
you go.
everybody, I think. That's a something a great takeaway. So now you've been at Vocal Impact Communication, been at there. This is your baby for 10 years,
Yep.
older than some of your kids. Older, no, not older.
Yes, older than one of my kids.
Older than
Yes.
one of your kids.
Yes.
So where do you see yourself going in the next 3, 5, 10, 100 years? What's going to happen to you?
100 years, I'm that's a little beyond my scope. Although the next couple of years, really the goal for me as a business owner is scale, and that's the challenge in a service oriented business
Mm,
where your secret sauce is kind of you as
you.
opposed to basic business development stuff.
Yeah.
So really figuring out for me how to not just grow, which we've been doing very consistently and happily for 10 years, but now making that quantum leap into scale. So
Mm,
figuring out both on the lower end, the passive income, what kind of programs I can offer online that are self-access or otherwise, whether it's subscription models or those kinds of things, versus do I create mini me's and find a way to duplicate myself and train people in my methods to figure out how to get them to lead my programs? That's a whole different animal on a whole bunch of levels. So
sure.
that's the point of distinction that I'm at right
Sure,
now.
sure. Well, good. Well, I hope that all works out because I know bazillions of people around the world. They certainly need the kind of information that you can share and coach people with. So very cool.
Thank
Very
you.
cool. So thanks for being here today. I just want to point out that if there's anybody nearly as good, half as good as Laura here is, put their name in the chat. We want to get them on the show to share their uniqueness with everybody else. And, so whether it's your business, your community, your family, it's really money that makes those gears turning. Make sure your money is working for you in the most optimal way it can. Thanks for being here, Laura.
Thank you for having me, Howard. Have a great day,
You
everybody.
too.